Hey there, guys. Welcome back to our last episode for this series in our LUWES STEM Club. We can't believe that it's the last episode already, but we thank you for joining us every week, and we hope that you've enjoyed all the other episodes that we've put out. We hope you've enjoyed creating some cool stuff with us, and hopefully you've learned something too and enjoyed our discussions. So for the final episode, in light of Earth Day, which is coming up on April 22nd, we have a sustainability theme, and it's all about windmills, the wind turbines. We're going to be talking a little bit about windmills, the science behind it, sustainability, and we're also going to chat about our GCSEs today. So for today's challenge, we're going to be creating our own windmills using whatever you've got in the house. We've got some cardboard paper, toilet rolls, any bits and bobs that you have, going to be creating a windmill. And yeah, stuff like that. Whatever you have, will do. The challenge is it has to be able to stand, and when you apply some sort of wind energy, whether you blow on it or you take outside or a hairdryer, whatever you've got, it has to spin. So you can use whatever knowledge you've got from the videos or any of your own creative tactics to create this windmill. I guess I should introduce ourselves. I'm Uchi. I'm studying chemical engineering. And I'm going to pass it on to Bana.
Hi, I'm Bana and I do product design engineering. There are two other product design engineers with us. So,
Natalie.
My name's Arva. I also do product design engineering. I'm second year.
Yeah, and I'm Lily. I'm the chemist in the group.
I'm Jess and I'm the material engineer.
We could start off by, making a little sketch about how you think you're going to go about this challenge. It's always good to clear out your mind and get all your ideas on paper before you start creating anything. So feel free to use this time to kind of plan out what you want to do to create your windmill, whether that's making a mind map or a sketch. So you can think about some design considerations, maybe like the number of blades or how you're going to make sure it's stable when it's standing or versus when it's actually spinning, or the types of materials, stuff like that. You can write it all down and draw it out just so you have it clearly in front of you before you. That's what we're going to be doing right now too. As we do that, we can also chat. We could start off with a discussion about GCSE, so maybe we could all go around and just say what we did, what GCSEs we took, and possibly how we went about choosing those subjects.
So for GCSE, I did triple science, and that is chemistry, biology, and physics. Sorry, I just lost that. And I also did maths, obviously with the English as well, and also did DT, Spanish and French, and geography. So yeah, and I guess at that point of my life, I knew I really wanted to pursue maybe in the STEM field. I didn't know what it was, but I really liked the idea of science and maths. I really enjoyed it throughout my lower school years. So I really wanted to continue and pursue that. And I was informed by my teachers that by doing the triple science, so doing more in-depth sort of learning of all the three different sciences, I would basically create a wider opportunity for myself to choose from in the future, whether I'm doing my A-levels or university choices. So the others want to share what they did for GCSEs?
Yeah, similarly to you, Natalie. Triple science as well, your maths and your English, geography as well. But then I took the drama as well as German for GCSEs. Yeah.
In terms of my school, so we were only given 3 options, but we had to do triple science, we had to do maths, both Englishes, we had to do religious studies, and then I chose product design, geography and Spanish. And I knew I kind of fell in love with product design during year 9, and I was like, that's the one subject I really want to do, and let's see how it goes. I might take it over to A-level, which I did in the end. And I just kind of chose all the subjects I really enjoyed, and chose the subject I was good at as well. And I really enjoyed my GCSEs. I loved the variety that I had within my courses.
I was similar to you in that way, Albert, like taking what I really enjoy, and like I took design and technology at GCSE, which was my favorite subject at the time, and took it at A level again, and then it was my favorite subject then too. GT. But a bit different to what you guys have said so far is my school only offered double science because we were a Welsh medium school, so Welsh literature and language were compulsory. So I did Welsh literature, Welsh language, English literature, English language, double science, maths. Those were our compulsory ones. And then I think my options were really quite varied. Computer science, PE, religious education, and DT. Big mix.
How about you guys, Uche and Bana? Like, what do you guys do at the GCSE or wherever you guys were?
You go first, Uche.
Yeah, I didn't do GCSE. I actually did a VC because I did my high school education in Victoria. So the VC is the Victorian Certificate of Education, and with that, some people can do between 4 and 6 subjects, but I did 5, and for my 5 subjects, I did triple science, so math, chemistry, biology, and physics, and then I did a math subject, and English was compulsory. Everyone had to do English. Yeah.
Right. I went to an American school, and what happens with American schools is that all your grades count, so you get a report card at the end of the year with all the classes you take throughout the year, and so we don't do specific exams, it's more everything that's happened throughout the year, so like homework and tests and quizzes and finals, they all go into your final GPA throughout all 12 years of like school. And near the end, so in high school, you get to choose which subjects you want to do at school, and the grades are still things you do at school. And I think the closest thing we have to A levels, GCSE, I think the closest thing we have would be the SATs, but the SATs come in a little bit after the GCSE, so you're a little bit older when you take them. And then when you graduate, the A-level equivalent would be the advanced placement exams, but our grades are what you do at school. So all the tests, all the exams you do at school, that goes into your final report card and what the universities see eventually. That's how my school did it.
I was saying that it seems like good practice for university because of the coursework and the exams that both come into play for the final score or final grade. So that's good.
Yeah, it was very similar system in terms of tests and quizzes being scored and then counting towards your final grade. So it was like not as hard a transition as I thought it would be going to like a UK university. Same thing.
Very different from A levels where you do your in-class tests and you can do as badly as you do, and then literally as badly as we all did, and then you get your final grade at the end and go, oh, that's a pleasant surprise, great.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say that it's actually, we kind of have a similar thing like that too, but it's kind of like a half and half. So we have formatives at times, which are just like tests, but they don't count. I guess you could use them for like progress. And then you have tests and some coursework and stuff that do count. So that was really interesting.
Thanks.
I think I prefer that system in that it would be potentially less pressure on the exams. I like a balance of coursework and exams because they're just very different in that coursework is kind of steady throughout the year and you can kind of earmark time to do that specific work and stuff. But when all the exams at the same time, it's kind of a bit of a struggle to kind of juggle them all, especially when 100% of your A level is on that 1 or 2 exams. It's a lot of pressure.
I remember for at least GCSE Design Technology Product Design back in our day it was 60% coursework, 40% exam, and it was such a huge relief not to have like one exam that was worth 100% of your grade, or maybe a series of exams at the end that were worth 100% of your grade. It was really nice to have that 6% coursework just to fall back on in case.
Yeah, I think that was
not that you don't study for the exam. Don't do that. Study for the exam. Make sure you study. Learn about your material properties. But it's nice to have that thing to fall back on.
Yeah.
I think to add as well, like when you go through all these different practicals, especially with your sciences, really enjoy them because those really apply to your exams and etc. when you do them, and as well the experience of really understanding what it's all about when you're actually learning in class, like where you have theory based and actually seeing it come to life when you're doing a simple experiment. I think that's really rewarding as well because you're doing something that even if you can take home or something, I think that's rewarding. So definitely do enjoy the practical side.
Yeah, it's also good for like people who don't have the same learning style. Like some people just don't perform that great on exams. And some people are more suited to coursework, so it's just more fair for everybody. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, in the school that I went to, so that's just the American system. But the school that I ended up going to, our coursework, so like throughout the year, they were mostly tests and quizzes, and they'd set it up in a way where every day we'd have a test scheduled in. So in the schedule, you have like a test or a quiz, and so the whole like studying for exams, I'm just so programmed. Like I know how to do it, and like because I've done it so much, and by the time we get to our finals, we'd have done the material so many times because we have like constant tests on it. So I did think that they managed to like really help out. So even people who don't particularly like exams, they'd still do really well because they just keep doing quizzes throughout the whole year.
Yeah,
so
that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, it was like it was sad, but it was good.
I think that's quite useful as well, like that sort of technique if you apply for maybe university, like have modules, where there are modules where you have to do tutorial questions as a coursework, so it forces you to really understand that material of that week, and to really understand how to do these questions, which will really benefit you during your exams. Just kind of like resonating from what Fana said, with how she was so equipped and ready for the finals. So yeah, I think that learning method does help in terms of building that kind of long-term memory rather than the short-term memory.
Yeah.
How are you guys going with your design?
An idea.
Slow and steady.
Yeah, got an idea. Don't know how feasible. Want to see how it works.
Yeah,
I'm taking inspiration from
Probably.
Vanna's video with the tower building.
I think
Look at your marshmallows.
I think the origami video is what's gonna help me with the windmill. I feel
that-
like
that's
that's
what
hard to
helping
That's
make.
what I don't even know what it looks like.
Oh, we know who's the design, the product designer.
Yeah.
They've actually labelled. Mine is just pretty.
Oh, that's cute.
That looks so stupid compared to you guys. Like I'm just
Oh, that's
playing out
good
here.
too. No, it's
I
really
like that.
interesting. It's really
It
interesting.
looks
how-
stable. Mine does
Hey,
I've
that's
just done a
good.
mind map at the moment. So
That's good too.
Yeah.
That's good too.
I prefer mind maps to sketching. It just gets all the ideas in one place, and then I can sketch later. But I'm gonna just go for it. I'm gonna be brave and go for it this time.
I think there's two methods of, when you're designing. You can look at what you have in terms of your materials and how you can maybe fidget with them and make them into create a design, or you can create a very cool drawing and then see how your materials would fit in, which one would use. So there's like two ways of thinking, and there's no right or wrong because they're both right, and it's just depending on what you guys prefer to do.
Just depends on like how you design.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are we ready to make this?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
No.
Let's go, people.
So what should we talk about next, Uche?
I'm actually like kind of interested to see like what kind of support you guys have or wish you had during GCSEs, like picking, because I feel like that's something important when picking a subject or thinking about it, like the support. If anybody has any experiences or something like that, or who did you go to for support?
I know I had to choose between geography and history. because I wanted to take a language and I wanted to take DT and I only had one option left. I wanted to take both geography and history, and I know I spoke to both my teachers, like, what's the course like? And I saw the history course and went a bit like, no, I'm not really interested in that aspect of history. And then I liked the geography course, and I think physical geography is quite like, it links to civil engineering quite a lot. So some disasters that have been because of bad surveys have happened, and it's quite interesting to link humanity subject to science and engineering. So I thought, no, geography seems quite relevant to me. I don't know if I want to do civil engineering, so it might be good for me to take it. And I took it. Didn't do civil engineering, but I still love geography GCSE. But that's something I did at least.
I'm just recalling. It's a bit far away.
Nat and I are
Very long time.
We're in our final year, so we're just trying to recall those memories, you know.
Come on, think of 14-year-old Nat.
I'm just thinking, like, I think, like, in terms of, like, I did 2 languages for my GCSE. In terms of all the other options I had, because I only had I didn't really like humanities too much, so like geography was a push in terms of all the other humanities I had to choose from. I had to do humanities, so I chose geography, and the others were like business studies and art. And I think from a perspective that DT was quite heavy coursework based as well, I kind of eliminated that as an option. So it was just down to either business studies really or another language. And I chose another language just by speaking to some of the language teachers, saying like, what's the course, like what sort of thing? And looking back at the fact that I really enjoyed all my languages as well. So I just went for it. And I don't know if you guys had the same sort of experience with your languages during school, etc. Because we had conversation teachers as well. So you would just speak to a native speaker. And I think that really helps because I really like the sort of culture side they brought into the lessons, not just the like the language and understanding the grammatical side. So it was like really conversation based. And yeah, I just really enjoyed language and went for it. Just kept going.
It was really nice that you had the conversation people, so you just like have a chat with someone in another language. Like, that would have been so helpful.
Especially like a native speaker as well. I think
Definitely.
That's so resourceful.
And you guys are like, and it's not marked or anything, so like you just have a conversation. They'll help you out with like any work and etc. And they're really friendly as well. So I'm not saying my teacher wasn't. But it was just the fact that at that point, like, I think it's nice to have that experience on top of everything that's going on at school.
What materials does everyone have? So I know I only have paper. I only have like printer paper, so I'm making this as well as I can. What has everyone else got? Because I see some interesting things happening.
I've got a plastic cup that I'm trying to cut through.
Please be careful when using sharp items.
Yes.
Safety warning.
Safety first, okay? Just be sure that
Please use on the supervision of adults, responsible adults.
When you're cutting things, make sure, like, you know, when you're fitting things in, make sure you cut less than more. So it's like a snug rather than a snug fit, rather than a loose fit.
You can always remove more material, but you can't add it on. And that's a lesson I learned the hard way at school.
So did any of you guys also had other supports?
At my school, we had a career support team. They helped you with careers, but they also helped you with like choosing the subjects. Because I was actually thinking of not doing physics at the time. I was going to take a politics class because I was really interested in that. But I think the reason I didn't want to do physics was just because I felt like I wasn't excelling at it at the time. Even though I enjoyed it, I just didn't feel like my enjoyment and the grades were matching up. But I'm glad I had that support team because, I mean, they can kind of help you reason out, you know, why you feel like you don't want to do something, but then also show you other options that you can take. So I think it's great talking to people like that. But then if you have friends or people you know in other years above you, I also had a couple of discussions with them that's pretty much how I chose my subjects.
It's really nice to talk to people in the year above, because I spoke to other people who were doing like geography in the year above and said, well, how is it? What is it like? Is it like the year 9 stuff? That I really enjoy the year 9 geography classes. And it was really useful just to talk to them and see what their experiences were like and see what kind of work they did. So I'd recommend like speaking to your peers, speaking to people who are older than you, if you have friends in the year above, or just even know someone by a name, just go and talk to them, basically.
Yeah, and people are always willing to help. People are so nice, especially when it comes to things like this.
Definitely. My support came more so from outside school, really. I kind of always been quite a I can't even think of the English word. I want to say the Welsh one because I honestly
Go on, share the language.
Say the Welsh word, we'll translate.
Yeah, we'll translate.
Which means hard-headed. That's the thing in English, right?
Yeah.
Like stubborn almost, but in like a more like
hard-headed
way. Well, yeah, that was me. I kind of already made up my mind about I was going to take what I enjoyed. Whether or not that led to a career that was going to be viable was another thing. But I was going to do what I enjoyed, and I really liked the sciences, really liked CT, really liked sport. So there were options. So I decided to take them all. But I kind of had like a spare, because I was lucky in my school that I had 4 choices, where I know a lot of schools have only 3 when you go to GCSE. So I kind of had this floating spare when I was like, well, what do I want to do with this opportunity? And the options were computer science or German. But the German class was really small, so it was kind of everybody that wanted to do German we need to make sure there was enough people to actually have put the class on. Like the lesson on, and my dad kind of spoke to my dad about my choices, and he went out and found an opportunity for me to do like a girls coding club thing and try that outside of school, and that was really fun. That was my first taste of like HTML and stuff, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but it's fun.
Like me in software engineering right now.
So that's what I went on to do, basically. Just try and do something not necessarily in school. If there's an opportunity outside of school that might help you make up your mind, then I massively suggest that you go ahead and make the most of that.
Yes, that's so true. I agree with that. So since this episode is sustainability themed, we thought we'd just talk a little bit about the 6 R's of sustainability. So each of us are going to talk about 1 R each. The first R is reduce, and that's just about reducing like the amount of waste that we're producing, basically. And you could do this in so many different ways. So like in your everyday life, maybe when you're going shopping, you choose to buy products that just don't have as much packaging on it, or instead of using the plastic with your fruit, you just get the piece of fruit on its own without needing a plastic bag, or buying in bulk or something like that. Even like as we're designing right now, you could think that, am I putting way more than I actually need on this design? That's something that you could consider as well. So the next R would be for Ava.
So the next R is repair. So as the name implies, repair is fixing things that are broken or not working as they should. So a lot of things that have been designed since the 90s onwards have this thing called built-in obsolescence, which means they are designed to run for a certain amount of time. And then after a certain amount of time, you can no longer use that product because it'd either be dangerous or it just wouldn't work. So things like your phones are only designed to work for maybe 1 to 2 years, and then you replace them, which isn't sustainable and it isn't good. And there's been a bunch of things called modular designs, which means that you can replace modules on a piece of electronics or a product. That means that you can just take the things that are broken off, put a new module in, and then use it all again. So replacing one part and making that one part better rather than buying a whole new item is much more sustainable and much better for the environment than throwing something away and buying a new product. And the new products might involve thousands of components and thousands of manufacturing hours as well, and loads of transport. So it's always more sustainable to repair rather than throw out and rebuy.
I'm doing the third R, and it's recycling. So recycling, we all know what recycling is. It's the process of collecting and processing materials that would otherwise be thrown away. So we take the trash and turn it into something new, and it benefits the community and the environment quite a bit. We're really lucky in terms of, I think most of us have bins at home where you can just throw away recycling. So that's very accessible to everyone. When you're throwing things away, you should be mindful of where you're throwing things away to split things up, like paper, like cans, plastic. It's really important. The steps of recycling is that you collect it and then send it out to be processed. Then it goes into manufacturing, and then once it's manufactured into something new, you buy it. So that's how recycling gets back to you.
The fourth R is to refuse, which is a bit of an odd sounding one, really, but it essentially can mean to reduce the complexity of a system or a product. So you don't need as many pieces. You refuse to add them. You refuse additional ideas and people getting excited and being, we should add this to this and we should add this. But it's also a really good idea to say, well, if there's no genuine need for that component to be part of that system, then you should say no. So that can help mitigate waste, wasted energy, materials. An example of this was one where I saw a picture of a peeled orange wrapped in plastic packaging that was in a vending machine. And somebody definitely should have refused that idea because that packaging was not needed.
The fifth one is rethink, which is to do with rethinking our current lifestyle and the way we design and make things. You can think about the materials probably used for a particular product. If you can limit the range of it, you can think about that. So then when it comes to separating them, it would be much easier.
Yeah. So with reuse, you can really think of it two perspectives. So reuse by maybe a product that you can use multiple times, or you can repurpose a product that you no longer want and reuse that after you kind of made a bit more into the use you want. So a good example for the reuse side would probably for like the plastic containers that you have at home. You can use that to hold other things, even if you're stationery, etc. Or for example, one quite kind of recent sort of idea is to go to package-free shops, and you can use those containers and reuse them and go in and get shampoo or rice, pasta, God knows what you want, whatever the package-free shop offers. And I guess in terms of repurpose, then kind of reuse, would kind of be like something what we're doing at the moment. We're creating this windmill from the things that we no longer want to use. For example, cardboard that will probably end up into the recycling, but rather than put that through to recycling, you're reusing it by building a project out of it. But yeah, I guess that's just the last R.
What are some things that we're doing, do you think, to make our planet more sustainable or to preserve our planet?
So I guess we can look at this just like on a personal level. So you can talk about what you do at home or like just day to day, but at the same time we can also look at it from an engineering perspective. And I do think that specifically the way we're being taught engineering nowadays, sustainability is very important, and they do teach us and they make sure we implement it in all our projects, and like it's something we consider, and they're factors we know about. I think because at the moment the world really needs us to think sustainably. So I just say on a personal level, I do stuff like recycling, reusing, try to commit to the 6 R's. As a person in STEM, I do think that I hope whatever I end up doing just really benefits the world in terms of sustainability.
Definitely agree on that. I think in terms of from an engineering perspective or even during the design, like we want to promote this idea of something called circular economy, and you really want that idea of really looking into the sustainability of whatever you design at the beginning as well, not at the end, but at the beginning of the design process. And maybe it's going into a bit too technical, but usually companies do something called a life cycle assessment, and they analyze the whole process of a design process and really identifying what sort of limitations they have and what they need to do to reduce any waste or any scraps and things like that. So I think from an engineering perspective, I think we're definitely doing more than we've ever been, and I think this will only go better, hopefully, and better, really.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that leading off Nat's point is that in the past, designers would use a cradle to grave approach. So they would design a product from the start, so it's birth in the cradle, and then design it to the end of its life, the death in the landfill or something. Whereas now designers take something called a cradle to cradle approach, which is where they think about the product, they think about its entire life, so they think about how it's designed, how it's made, how it's transported, the shops it's put in, and once it's in use, how much energy does it use, that kind of thing. And then once it's at the end of its life, how easily can it be disassembled, the material separated, and then recycled into brand new products? Or maybe can the product be reused into something else completely new? So I know there's some of these mechanical pencils have little seeds, not mechanical, the standard wooden pencils have these little seeds at the end. So you reach the end of your pencil and then you can you put the middle of your pencil into soil and you put water on it and it just grows into a plant. And I found that's so cool. I think
idea. Wow.
I know, right? Like my A-level physics teacher showed me and it blew my mind at the time. I was like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And so I think designers and engineers are being more and more sustainable. But right now I think our focus should be on like every person's little action. So throwing something in the recycling rather than in the landfill.
With fast fashion, I agree about that. And it's actually interesting because like in this pandemic, when things have been closed and stuff, you kind of realize that you don't need as much as you buy. Like when you go out and everything is open and it's so easy to buy that extra t-shirt or that extra dress that you don't need. It's just shown just how much we buy things that we don't need. I guess like thrifting's becoming like really popular, but that's also a good way to like go and get something that's been used but it's still in perfect condition, and it's a good way to not indulge in fast fashion.
To add on to all the things you guys have been saying about sustainability, they've been very like environmentally based, and that's like a really key part of sustainable development and growth and things for the future, really, that everything we do needs to be sustainable and that it will last and that we'll have the means to be able to continue the way we want to live at the standard of life, like quality of life that we want to lead. And the UN have initiated the 17 sustainable goals for 2020, well, initiated 2020, and a lot of them actually involve like sustainable growth for everyone, so like all nations, and not just based on the environment. Obviously that's a key role, but also do like the society and the economy benefit from the more sustainable practices that people are kind of taking into consideration with business and engineering. And it's just an interesting way to think that what we're doing, does it benefit the planet, does it benefit people, does it benefit communities? It's all, that's kind of the aim of all those goals, really, to kind of highlight the importance of things from quality of education to gender equality. These are all things that will lead to a sustainable, like prosperous future, essentially.
Definitely agree there.
Yeah, I agree. And like, even just looking at the six of us, each of us is doing something different, but we all do have that one goal in common. Yeah. That's like, it's important to care about the earth in the simplest way possible.
How's everyone's Windmill going?
I think it's
a bit.
I'm excited to test it out.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
One sec, I have to go this way. No, one second. It's like an angle. There's like a certain angle that you blow on it, and it works. You have to blow into the flutes. kind of thing.
We shall see.
Have you guys all finished with your windmills?
Yep.
Yeah, like we can show them all to each other. That's what mine kind of looks like.
So mine looks like, I'm gonna hold it in front of me. Like,
Very much.
Impressive.
I don't want to.
well done, guys.
Yeah, good job, guys.
Good job, good job.
You're looking amazing, guys.
I love how
Yeah.
each one's so different.
Yeah, and we had the same brief, right? To create a windmill.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting, like they're all different, but we all used slightly different stuff and we all ended up with basically the same thing. So that's quite cool. So we finished making our windmills now, and we hope that you guys have also finished. Thank you so much for joining us making these windmills. You can go and test them out now, and hopefully they work. Even if they don't work, it doesn't matter, because you've learned something new, you've had fun and tried something out. So it really doesn't matter. Anything you've done, I'm sure, is awesome. Please do send us pictures, videos of what you've made, even if it's not working. We love to see them, and we will share them as well. And go share it with everybody else, because I'm sure it's cool. This is what my windmill came out looking like, and I have to kind of blow it from an angle in order for it to work. There you go.
Mine's rather big, just because by chance the wingspan was bigger than I thought it would be. And my basic design is based on using toilet rolls and some cardboard. And I found this sort of plastic piece I had lying around, so I used it as like my hub that spins around. And then I used like a random pen that no longer has ink in it as my little shaft that go into my hub.
This windmill is made out of 3 different kinds of paper. You have your cardboard paper, which is used to support the tower of the windmill. The tower is made out of flashcard paper, which I intend to reuse after this. And then you have your print paper, which is used for the sails of the windmill. As you can see, it's rested on a small wooden stick.
So I was very set on using either the toilet roll cut in half or the like dessert plastic pots, because it had a curved shape and I thought that would be good at like catching the air. Catching? I don't even know if that's right, but channeling the air so when it would actually spin when you applied air to it with a hairdryer, whatever you've got. So I kind of was very set on using those.
So I had very limited resources at home. I only had a few pieces of paper and some packing tape and some scissors. So I made this pinwheel design out of one of the pieces of paper, and I secured it to a base, which was just another rolled up piece of paper into a tube.
For my design, I used paper, a wooden skewer, paper straws, because we do not like plastic straws in this house, and a kitchen tissue paper roll. Spins and it carries things. It's an overall, I'm very happy with this design. It's stable and it does all the other things it's supposed to do.
Since this is the last episode, we all just want to say a big thank
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning into our videos. Thank you for joining us. And we also want to say thank you to all the people who have supported us as we make these videos. So all our schools, all our volunteers, everybody who's helped us, even Loughborough University, to make this happen. We're really grateful, and we hope that it's helped you. We hope you've had fun, and yeah.
We hope you consider a career in STEM now. There's so many opportunities. Definitely make the most of that.
It's such a wide and diverse field to join. It's amazing. So please do consider it. Even consider just taking STEM subjects at GCSE.
Yeah, I guess just remember that you guys will probably be our next STEM leaders. We're speaking to you like 10 years for age difference. But you guys will be the leading team in the future.
Bye!
Bye!